I started my YouTube channel in 2009. And at that time, there was some people posting fitness stuff on YouTube, but not nearly as many as there are now. You've only been doing it for about 4 years or so. So when you got started, did you feel it was really hard to get yourself to stand out and differentiate your brand?
What I so the way I got started is really from a very humble mindset and beginning. So
Hmm.
I didn't think about like, oh, how can I make myself stand out or anything like that. It was literally all just for fun. I just like posting videos, and I have enjoyed posting videos since I was like 13, 14 years old. Um, and then I got into fitness and I started posting more fitness content. So it came from a very humble mindset, but over time, I did start to think of ways like, how can I be different? And I
Hmm.
realized that I was different from other fitness YouTubers because one, I did bodyweight training, calisthenics, and two, I was actually teaching people how to do it. So you yourself, you have done tutorials, right? Which I've
Sure.
seen before. But
Thanks for
a lot of
watching.
the
Hey, hey, hey.
of course, throwback. But a lot of the bigger people at the time in the calisthenics scene or niche, I guess, they will post like motivational or show offy stuff, but nobody
Yeah.
will ever like teach exactly how to do this. So I was like, I'm gonna fill that gap, and I guess just post things I wish that I would have known or seen or somebody to look up
So
to
you
in
were
that
really
space.
just kind of following your own interests and doing it for fun. But at a certain point, you must have said, wait a minute, people are starting to watch these videos. What can I do to increase the quality of them, increase viewership? It doesn't seem like a total accident that you stumbled into so much popularity. What do you think?
Subscribers on that, and
Wow.
then I started learning more about investing in a proper camera, audio equipment, stuff like that. That was the first step, just like the quality of the video, and also how I can approach it differently. So, put my personality on it, or do
Hmm.
people want more quick to the point type stuff? Do people want these fancy edits? But it really all came down to creating content that people can find me for. That's why I realized that
Search
was big
engine
for me.
optimization? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, SEO on
You have
YouTube.
a lot of videos too, so you just increased the quantity of them at a certain point, right?
Yeah, it's just a library filled of SEO videos. So I cannot make videos for like the next 3 months and still get millions of views on the YouTube channel because of that library now that I built up over the past few years.
But I imagine that's not what you're planning to do because you're a hustler and you're just getting the ball rolling, right? You can't stop now.
Yeah, yeah, it's like this momentum I have now. I just love creating videos, and I always will. I feel like so.
Well, if you don't
Keep it
love
going.
it, I mean, at a certain point, even if it's fun, it's going to become work. So you've got to
Hmm.
really want to do it to get past that point. I mean, you must get people all the time telling you, "Oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to do this." And once they see how involved it really is, or maybe they make a couple of videos and then they can't keep the consistency up because they're doing it because it's the opposite of what you said at the beginning. They're doing it because they want to get the end result. They want to get followers. They want to get noticed. They're not
Hmm.
necessarily doing it because
They
it's their
enjoy it.
passion.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the big difference I see with, people who started back in your time and my time, 2014, versus people who start YouTube now, is they go in with the mindset. I want 1 million subscribers. I want a big business. I want all this money. And they don't understand or realize like, you gotta actually enjoy the stuff to do it
Yeah,
over the long
I don't
period of
think
time.
there was really such thing as like a YouTube celebrity back in 2009. I don't know when that exactly started, but I think it came a few years later.
The influencer age.
So yeah,
Yep.
there was no thought in my mind of, oh, this is going to make me a star when I started putting
Hmm.
those videos up. It was the same as you. It was just a fun thing to do. And I remember the first time one of my videos hit 1,000 views. That blew my mind. I was like, whoa, 1,000 people have watched this. And now I've got
Hmm.
lots of videos with hundreds of thousands of views. I'm just like, hey, whatever, who cares?
Exactly. Yeah. We get so desensitized to these numbers over time. Like even now,
Hmm.
a video gets like 50,000 views, and I'm like, wow, that did horrible.
What did I do wrong? Only
Yeah.
50,000.
Yeah. But yeah.
So, how involved are you in all the aspects of your videos? Obviously, in the beginning, it was just you with your cell phone, but now your production value looks a lot better. Do you have camera people and editors and all of that?
So for the most part, honestly, it's still just me.
Right on.
I've learned a lot about camera equipment, video equipment, editing, and stuff like that, content creation, content research. I do all that stuff right now. But when I travel, and also if I have a certain goal in mind for a certain project, I
Hmm.
will outsource it to a professional videographer and tell them kind of my vision. But actually, it's funny you say that because that's my next step here in the next few months is to actually hire a full-on creative content director who films, edits, does everything, so that way I can purely focus on the business side of things and
Well, you'll
being the
still be
face of
the
this.
on-screen talent, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to do that all yourself. I'm the same as you. I'm a bit of a control freak, and I mean sometimes I'm lucky enough to have camera people or friends helping out, but almost all my stuff I do everything. I direct it, I write the content, I edit it afterwards. I even include my own music in there, and
Oh wow.
it's the same
Total
as you.
creative
It's
freak.
fun. I was into music before I even got started in working out. That was a passion I've had even longer. So when I was finally able to like, oh wait, there's a way I can get people to listen to some of my music if I stick it in this
Hmm.
YouTube video. It's like a subliminal way to get the music out there too.
Basically perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not trying to do that for a living. It just worked out nice that I had some recordings, so I didn't have to worry about copyrights and all that with music in the background.
Yeah. I decided to make my own song too. I'm not sure if you heard it.
I have to listen a little more carefully, or maybe I didn't realize it was your own song.
Yeah, it's called Pull Up. I literally made it in a day. It goes like, you got to pull up or shut up. You ever heard that at
I've
all?
heard the expression "pull up or shut
Hmm.
up." I
Yeah.
like that expression a lot.
Yeah,
So
it's like a big thing with me. This little song I made, but
okay,
yeah.
well I'll make sure I check it out. I actually have been trying to watch a little more of your stuff lately in preparation for this interview, but I
Appreciate
must have missed that one. So did you ever work in a gym or in the fitness industry at any point other than just branching out into your own?
it. No. So if my YouTube wouldn't have like popped up the way it have, then I definitely would have, or I would have taken that path, been a personal trainer or work in a gym space or something like that. But the only proper job I had before I started doing this YouTube stuff and business stuff full time was I worked at Home Depot and I was a lifeguard. Oh, and I worked at Wendy's. So I had three jobs.
All
But
right.
after that, like I never had intentions to work at the gym because I was too busy on doing my own training and stuff like
You,
that. And
you
I didn't have,
bypassed that. It used to be if you wanted to work in the fitness industry, that was really the only option was to be an independent trainer at least or work at a gym. But there's this whole
hmm
other thing now with the internet. It's just amazing how it's changed the industry. And I think there's a lot
kind of
of
skip.
people from my generation who are having a hard time coping with that and get frustrated when they see people like you. Like, who's this kid? He just came out of nowhere and he's got all these followers and he didn't pay his dues and he didn't work in the industry. But it's just the industry changed. So you're paying your dues by making all those videos and editing all that stuff, and that's just as much of a viable thing. And I think people don't necessarily get that. Have you
Exactly.
encountered some blowback from people?
Not blowback, but maybe in a sense, like Austin, what makes you qualified to teach me this information?
Hmm.
But that's very, very rare. Most people they see my skill plus my experience, and on the back end, I invest into my own knowledge. I read tons of books, including some of yours on body weight training and other scientific stuff when it comes to fitness. But people don't know that I don't just tell people like, "Hey, I'm reading this book this week," but I relay that information plus my experience in the YouTube videos that I create.
Hmm.
But so a lot of people don't like ask me, "Are you certified? Like, did you work here, there?"
Do you
I don't
get
get that too
people
much.
reaching out to you now though who want you to be their trainer, and do you train people now?
In person or
Yeah,
online.
no, one-on-one in-person training.
Um, no, I have
You don't
had a
get a
few
lot of
people.
requests for that. People just
A
want an
lot of
online
people don't
program.
know. A lot of people don't know where I'm at.
Uh huh.
Like, I tell people I'm in Florida, but they don't know exactly where. So,
Right.
every now and then I've got a few requests, but to do that, it would I would have to work with a very high level person because it wouldn't be cheap, is what I'm saying.
Well, beginners oftentimes, when I got started in the fitness industry, I used to think all my personal training clients are going to be super serious about fitness, and that's why they're hiring a trainer. But I found out
Hmm.
that most people who hire trainers are really beginners who just don't know what the heck they're doing and don't have the discipline or the motivation to get started. And
Accountability.
Yeah, exactly. Whether they're a beginner or advanced, I mean, being able to afford it has nothing to do with it. I've had some beginner clients who were very advanced in life. You know, they were high-powered attorneys or bankers or whatever, but they didn't know how to do a pull-up yet, and they needed my help. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm
you
sure there
might
are tons of
encounter
people out there.
people like that at some point. Are you finding that most of your followers are younger guys around your age, or do you get guys in their 30s and 40s who are reaching out to you much?
The most engaged people are the people my age and the
Hmm.
younger audience. But I know there are people out there watching who are, 30s, 40s, but they just don't engage as much. Like they're not going to write a comment or send me DMs all the time. But I know they're out there because I get more emails from those type of
Right.
people.
And that's
Yeah.
maybe just a generational things in terms of how people interact with social media.
Yeah, that's what I think it is too.
That's interesting. Is it mostly people in the U.S. that you hear from, or you have a big international following too?
So when with the content, the free social media content is like everywhere.
Hmm.
Still mostly in the US, but it's kind of dispersed kind of everywhere. But when it comes to the paid side of things, it's mostly in the US. Like I
Hmm.
mostly have paid customers within the US, but content is really everywhere. Because calisthenics and bodyweight training is actually bigger outside of the US than
It's
it is
huge in
in.
Europe. Yeah,
Yeah,
I teach a lot of workshops in Europe, and sometimes they're better attended than the ones here in the U.S. are. And
exactly.
yeah, it's interesting to see that. So you must get lots and lots of messages and emails from people. Are you able to keep up with everyone and always write back?
Um, no, not at all. So I have different emails that people send emails to according to the problem they have.
Uh huh.
DMs, I check DMs, but I don't reply back to DM just because it's just it
It's
really is
so
a
time
lot.
consuming.
Yeah, it's time consuming too.
Yeah.
Snapchat, I have like over 3,000 unread messages. It's just I can't do it. I used to be able to, but not anymore. No,
Does
it's
it get a
hundreds a
little
day.
overwhelming?
Uh, um, Overwhelming if I told myself I have to reply to everybody,
Right.
but I don't tell myself that. So in a sense, it's quite normal.
Do you get people sometimes who keep messaging you over and over because they're getting like upset that you haven't written back?
Yeah. Like they'll have conversations with themselves in my
Right.
DMs, and like they'll get mad when I don't reply, but uh, they don't realize like 100 other people are asking the same question that you just
Right.
asked me. You
Right.
know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I get
Oh,
so many messages and emails that I wish the person would just do a Google search. It's like, hey, have you done a tutorial on a handstand? It's like, yeah, just put in Al Kavadlo handstand, and you're gonna find like 5 different articles I've done on that. And that's like true
hmm
of probably for you too. Just about any calisthenics exercise, if someone just puts in Austin Dunham and the name of the move, you've got some free information out there on it, right?
Exactly,
But
exactly. I
instead, they
feel
have
like
to
people
send you an
just
email.
yeah, they just want to like talk with you, I guess. I feel like that's it. I even had hate comments where people say something crazy and then I reply to it. Then like, oh my God, you replied. That's all I wanted. Thanks.
Haters are fans, but they're just negative people, and that's how they express their fandom. You know, I
hmm
always say the love and hate aren't really opposites. The opposite is indifference. Love and hate are just two sides of the same coin. They're that fiery emotion, and you just, you know, maybe you get scorned, so the love turns into hate. But then as soon as you get a little recognition, it's like, oh, I love you again.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way it is.
But a lot of time, people don't realize that they're really a fan. They think they
They're
hate you.
low key
But
fans.
it's like you just took the time to leave me 10 nasty comments, and I know you're a pretty busy guy, so this is obviously important to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you ever feel like it gets tough to differentiate between your online life and your personal life because they're so intertwined, right?
Oh yeah, like I am Austin Dunham, obviously, but Austin Dunham
Right.
includes, the guy
There's
who
a
works out.
persona and there's a real person, right?
Um, I don't, I don't think so. Mm-mm.
You you
Um,
you don't feel like you play up certain aspects of your personality because like I'll use myself as an example. You know, I smile a lot in real life and I'm a pretty upbeat positive dude, but on YouTube I really amp that up, in part because
hmm
I think it's entertaining and in part because people have responded to that, so it's like, well, people like this, I'm going to keep doing it. And also I
Yeah.
just hate the idea of putting negativity out into the world in that way. I save my negativity for my private conversations. But that said, you know, I have moments where I get pissed off or I'm angry or jealous or whatever else, but that part of the real Al Kavadlo isn't part of the persona so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. With me, in this personal brand that I've built, I've learned to. I'm not completely vulnerable with my audience, but I'm also at the same time not like perfect to them too, if that makes sense. So
Sure.
if I feel like something, I'll show it, or I just try to be 100% me in a way, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Like,
it does. And what I'm saying about myself is, I don't want people to misconstrue and think that it's an act or that I'm phony. It's just that
hmm
there's only so much of me that I think is appropriate for my brand, and there's a lot of negativity on the internet. I'm sure you get a lot of nasty messages and angry people. So it's like I only want to put positivity out online because there's so much
yeah,
negativity out there already. So if I have every once in a while, I might post a rant, and it's funny because those sometimes get a lot of likes, and it's tempting to be like,
hmm
oh, I should post more of these rants. But that's just not the kind of energy I want to be putting out there.
yeah,
I'll
it's
save
all
that for
really
my private
personal
conversation.
preference. hmm
So what do you think is the best metric of success now? Is it still YouTube? Is it Instagram? Is it something else? In terms of social media success.
Social media success. So it's based on the platform, but I feel like the real metric on success, and also depends what you depend on what you think success is. But in my opinion, what's happening behind those numbers, like likes, comments, and all that stuff. I met people who have like 5,000, 10,000 followers, maybe 500,000 likes per photo, whatever, but they have like $1 million business behind that, and you have no idea. Or they have a
Yes.
very successful business,
Yes.
and it's just not shown. And people will type things like, "Oh, your channel's dying," or whatever. Those same comments, but they're killing it on the back end. That you just don't know that. So I think like identifying those hard numbers on the back end
Right.
will identify success and how you're actually doing, if you do have a business model set up, and also just overall, the the engagement you get with your community. So are people actually, do you have qualified audience engaging with your stuff? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I guess the example would be a girl who posts like booty pictures on Instagram. If
Right.
you look in her comments, it's not a whole bunch of girls saying, "Oh my God, nice butt." It's a whole bunch of dudes,
Right.
right? And that's really not. I mean, maybe it is a target audience, but for me, I wouldn't want personally a whole bunch of girls hard eyes underneath my comments and stuff like that. Instead, I
Yeah,
have,
that'd be terrible. Lots of girls wanting you, huh?
yeah, but they don't pay the bills, man.
No, I agree. I'm just goofing. No, but it's true. If you
Yeah,
if you use Instagram as a metric, it would appear that Cardi B is 20 times the musical force that Paul McCartney is. But
exactly. Yeah,
it's hopefully. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of old. I'm glad you know who Paul McCartney is. At least I was.
I heard the name before.
But yeah,
Once or twice.
times are changing. It's sometimes hard to keep up, and sometimes you think your antiquated way is still the way, and then you see something, you're like, whoa, I'm out of
hmm
touch. But
Instagram is
that's
actually doing a thing where they're gonna try and hide the likes in the pictures and videos of people and see if people
interesting.
engage with content differently.
Sure. Do you think that there's people who, if someone has a lot of followers, they're more likely to follow that person because it's like, I can be kind of more anonymous, and someone
Of
who has
course.
fewer followers is like, oh, if I follow them, they're going to know that I followed them.
Maybe from that standpoint, but people are just more likely to engage with something if a lot of other
If it
people are
seems
doing it.
popular, right?
Yeah,
Nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd.
exactly. Social proof. That's all
So
it is.
do you find that the more your following grows, the more it starts to snowball then?
I definitely saw that on YouTube. Yeah. Once I hit like 50 or 100,000 follower subscribers, it started to snowball after that. It's like, I guess people, either my content got better, I don't know. It's a whole different reasons that
There's
could have
so
happened.
many factors, it's so hard to determine causality with this stuff, right?
Yeah, but I definitely feel like it helps, because are you more likely to subscribe to somebody teaching you how to do a push-up better who has 10 subscribers or who has like 100,000?
They
I would
they
say
seem more
100,000.
legit if they have a bigger following, basically. But then you run
Exactly.
into the
Yeah.
problem, like you said. Sometimes you get these people who maybe they got a great body or they post sexy photos, but they really don't give the best advice, and they get a big following, and people think, oh, they have a big following, so they must be a real expert.
Yeah. See, that's the thing too. Like your following and your social proof can indirectly put you as an expert in the whatever field you're in, even if you're really not.
Right.
So, great power comes great responsibility.
Well said. Spider-Man, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what about advertising? Because I see your ads on Instagram and Facebook. How important do you think that's been versus just focusing on your organic reach?
So the advertising, the way it works is if you really want to scale a business on, especially in the fitness space, advertising is the way to go. So I learned that from a few mentors of mine, and actually I don't run my own ads. I have a business partner who helps me with that. But that's just really to scale because you put money in, and then
Hmm.
if you get a return, you can literally do that infinitely. So it's just one of those business principles. But in regards to growth, um, I've always and mostly done it the organic way. The ads is really kind of new for the past year.
Hmm. But it's
It
working
helps.
so far.
Yeah, it helps with the business side of things, of course.
You said you
Get
have
it.
someone else who does them for you. Do you approve everything before it goes up yourself? Do you ever get a submission from him and you're like, oh, I can't use this. This is terrible.
So me and him like have a very close relationship, so we're very cool. And I used to go about things that way, but now, it's more like I trust you. I know what you're doing. Just do your thing, and I'm gonna do my thing, create content, whatever. And if I come across anything, which I haven't, well, one time, but then I'll let him know.
So this is something for me that I've wrestled with my whole career is feeling like I hate feeling like I'm selling people really hard, I just kind of want to put the information out there and hope that the people who are interested in it are going to want to delve deeper and want to get a book or want to get a program or an app or
Hmm.
any of the various things I have out there. And whenever I've worked with marketers, it has worked. But I always feel like I hate some of this ad copy. It's like it's all this stuff that I don't think is true. They put in quick results. This will happen fast. You don't have to do any work. And I'm always like going back and forth whenever I work with somebody. Like, oh, you got to change this sentence. You got to take this out. And trying to find that point where I feel like everything in the marketing is still honest and truthful, but also where I am using those methods that are proven to be effective.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had to do that, I think, once or twice in my ad copy. The text was like, secrets revealed from Austin Dunham, where you see results almost instantly. It says
Yeah.
something like that. And I was
You know
like,
that's not
yo,
how it works.
yeah. I'm like, bro, let's change this, please. Like, I don't want people like coming at me. And plus, that's not
I
true.
mean,
So,
I mean that said, sometimes you can sort of get an instant result, as it were, in terms of
hmm
if you give someone the right cue at the right time when they're ready to hear it, it can flip a switch for them. But that's only if they've already been kind of doing the work on their own a little bit, and you catch them right
exactly.
when they need to get that cue.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
that's
So,
one of the things I love about training people in person. It's so much harder to do that over a video or an online format. And when you're really
definitely.
there in person watching someone, you catch those little nuances and you can explain it specifically to them right there in the moment.
Do you still train people in person?
I do, and
Awesome.
I do workshops, and I don't think I would ever want to completely stop doing that because, well, one, I enjoy it, and I actually get a lot of ideas for content from the people I work with in person. They ask me good
No doubt.
questions, they bring up topics, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is probably something that other people are wondering about.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, do you try to keep up with everyone else on YouTube who's posting fitness videos, or are you just more focused on yourself right now? There's so much nowadays, right?
Yeah, for me, you just got to find what you really enjoy. So I enjoy getting motivation from, some people in the general fitness space, bodybuilding space, and also people who teach a lot of stuff, and people who are also in my space. So I don't like every day check in, but maybe once or twice a week, I would check through my subscriptions and I'll watch a few videos from them or
Do you
whatever.
ever look at it like it's market research, like just seeing what
Um,
else is out there?
Always, yeah. So I'm a YouTube guy. I like to call myself. I've been on YouTube forever now. So I've watched tons of videos, and I continue to watch tons of videos to one see the evolution of content because it's always changing, and two to also learn from others and see what's working out there. Market research, as you said. So yeah, I think that helps out a lot.
For me, I go through phases sometimes where I try to catch up, and then it just gets overwhelming, and I'm just like, I just got to focus on my own stuff. And then I'm really focused on a project if I'm writing a new book or if I'm doing whatever, and then I kind of like pull my head out of the sand. And I'm like, oh, I've missed all this stuff, and then it's like this trying to catch up on everything, and I just you feel like you can never get caught up because there's an avalanche of new content coming all the time.
Yeah, if you try to do everything by yourself, then yeah, it's gonna be hard. But that's where I learned to like, if you're very serious about keeping up with the trends and what's going on, you might need to like hire a
You
team
got to have like a
or
boardroom, right? Have a meeting. Everyone
yeah.
comes in and pitches their ideas and tells you what's going on. That'd be
Hmm.
something if I got to that point. But I'm I'm really happy with where my business is now, and I think one of the things that is so impressive to me about you is that you've gotten so far in this thing so quickly. You're a young guy. You're what, 24, 25 years old?
23.
23? Oh my God. When I was 23, I had just gotten hired as basically a towel boy at a gym. It was my very first job in the fitness industry.
Nice.
I had just gotten my certification, but I don't even think I'd even trained anybody yet. And I was
Hmm.
just getting my feet wet. And you're already pretty established, so that's pretty amazing.
It's crazy we say that and we compare age and all that stuff. And I'm thankful that I did start young when I was 18 years old. But for some reason I feel like I have to have so much accomplished by the time I turn 30. Like once I turn 30, maybe it's social pressure and what life is supposed to be like when you're 30.
Hmm.
But I have like these big not rules, but goals for myself by the time I reach that age or when I'm older. But I'm glad I started out young. I'm thankful to be in the spot as a young
That's
person.
That's amazing. I didn't really start taking my career super seriously until I was 30.
Wow, that motivates me because I guess 7 years.
I was 30 when I started my YouTube channel, and
Hmm.
I self-published my first book a little less than a year after that. And then I started getting, real publishing deals, started my deal with Dragon Door when I was 33, and that's when I started teaching the PCC. So that was still a long time ago. But
Hmm.
yeah, for you to already be feeling like, oh, by 30 I've got to be like at the pinnacle is
Hmm.
is great to hear that you're so driven, but you'll still want to do so much more. And I think no matter
Exactly.
what you achieve, you're the type of person who's always going to be driven to want to do more.
Always like this is a literal lifelong commitment that I'm doing and that I'm gonna do. And I get motivation seeing older people in the space killing it too. I don't want to call you an older person, but I'm not
No,
sure
no, no.
how.
I'm embracing it. I'm going to be 40 this year, and I'm ready to play the old card, because that's the thing. You must get that from people all the time. Be like, oh, well, you're young. This is easy for you. Wait till you're 40 and your joints are all screwed up and you're
My
broken and you're
dad.
weak and you're fat and you're bald or whatever. But no, that's my problem, not yours. But but my point is, people always want to make that an excuse. So I can't wait to like
Always.
throw it in their face and be like, hey, I'm 40 and look at me doing a human flag. Look at me doing a muscle up. Look at me doing a pistol squat. My knees are fine. Hopefully they're still
Can't
fine,
wait to
right?
see it. I can't wait to see it because that's going to motivate me too when I get that age.
Right on. So I got to meet you in person when you were in New York a couple months ago. You had organized a meetup at Tompkins Square Park, which is a place that I've spent a lot of time over the years. Had you
Hmm.
seen Tompkins on YouTube a lot before you were there in person?
I've saw it in your videos. I think that's the only place where I've seen. I might have seen it like in the New York workout videos, but most of your videos, that yellow bar, that's what I
That
remember.
arch, right? Oh, well, that makes me
Hmm.
really, really happy to hear that you knew Tompkins from
Yeah.
my stuff.
Hmm.
When you got there in person, what was the feeling like for you?
Like, wow, this is like just being in a legendary place. Like, so much content was filmed here. A lot of legendary people in the space have been in this area, and here I am holding a meetup here, and I get to work out on the same bars. Like, it's just pretty cool to think about.
Yeah, there's like a collective energy there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The first time that I was out in Santa Monica, I remember feeling that way when I went to that spot because I'd seen it online, and then it's like, wow, I'm really here. You must have been out there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Multiple times. I felt the same way in Venice, Santa Monica, all those areas. Yeah.
Have you ever been to Bondi Beach in Australia?
Nope. Never.
That's
That's on
that's
the
another
to-do list.
iconic one that I'm sure you've seen online. I'm sure you'll make your way down there eventually.
Eventually.
Do you
Yeah.
do you travel much outside of the U.S.?
Recently, now that I just graduated college, I am because I have way more free time.
Hmm.
So I went to Germany a few months ago. I'm going to London in a few more days, actually.
Are you serious? I'm going to be in London this weekend. I'm teaching a workshop.
Really?
When you leaving? By the time this airs, we'll both already be back probably.
Yeah, I leave Sunday.
How about that? I'm flying back Sunday. I'm doing a quick in and out. I'm flying in Thursday night. Gonna teach Saturday, Sunday, and I'm getting right back out Sunday night.
That's awesome. Where's the? Oh, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, I'll be in London
That's
during
awesome.
that
No,
time
the
too. Yeah.
workshop I'm doing, it's at a gym out there called the Commando Temple, which is a really, really cool facility. So if you happen to get a chance to swing by there, you should check it out.
That'd,
It's a good
that'd be
calisthenics
awesome.
gym, and it's like a strongman gym also. They've got a lot of like cool like maces and hammers and gripper things and a lot of fun stuff to mess with.
Got it. Mental note taken. That's cool.
So back to the meetup that you organized in New York. I was really impressed how many people showed up for that. Is that typical, or is New York a better draw for you than some other places have been?
So that's my second meetup ever. My
Oh,
first
really?
meetup, yeah.
How about
hmm
that? I just assumed it seemed so like you'd done it before a lot of times.
I tried to come off that way, but the first one I did, how many? Two people showed up. It was Orlando, Florida.
So it was not typical that so many people showed up at New York then.
Yeah.
New,
But
New York's like
also,
the best calisthenic city. I mean I'm a little biased because I'm from here and I live here, but I'm
mhm.
happy to hear that because it confirms that New York's the best calisthenic city.
Yeah, I agree with you. That and my first meetup, I only had like 50,000 subscribers, so it was
Okay.
still very young, and it was like I didn't have a big of following. But now with the following that I've gained and on my audience demographics, it says
Yeah.
my biggest following is in New York and London.
Okay. So are you going
So
to try to organize something when you're in London?
not nothing like that scale.
Uh
Maybe
huh.
like a pop in and out type of thing, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
Are you looking to do like group workshops or teach on that kind of scale at all, or are you just doing what you're doing and you don't need to do the other stuff?
I've done one workshop in DC, and it was also a good turnout and a good experience. But right now, I'm so focused on just growing the online stuff, and I
Hmm.
haven't had time or a sense of just want to do the group workshops all the time yet. I
Sure.
feel like once I settle myself and I move and I get my own gym, which I want to do, and all that stuff, then that's when I'll be like, okay, let's do some of these workshops now.
What about mainstream media? Have you ever been approached by magazines or newspapers or anything like that, or is it pretty much just all your own stuff online?
So mainstream media, not really. No, not yet. I actually started working with this. It's called Influencer Press. It's this
Hmm.
PR company where they help influencers such as myself get more into mainstream media, such as TV, high level podcasts, or whatever, magazines, newspapers, and all that stuff. But the only one that I can think of is my college, my university. I did a lot of stuff for them. They always feature me in like a few magazines because I guess what I was doing, they
You're
enjoyed
probably
it. But
one of the more notable graduates.
yeah, they would paste my face like everywhere around school. Everybody knew who I was.
Was that a weird feeling?
It's a cool feeling, I guess, but I don't know. I'm
I mean,
I'm a
everyone
really
everyone who does what we do has some part of them that likes attention, right? Even if you have an introverted side too, as I certainly do. There's also a
mhm.
side of me that wants, hey, everybody, look at me. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I like that a lot of people know what I do and admire what I do, and I'm getting recognized for it,
Just
especially
on the
people
street.
not in my space. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. But at the same time, I'm a bit humble in that aspect. Like, I don't think I'm a celebrity. Like, somebody took a picture with me and they wanted me to sign their thing, and it was like, wow, I never met a celebrity before. I'm like, yeah, I'm
You
not a
still
celebrity.
haven't, right?
Yeah,
I've had to
I'm
have
not a
that
celebrity.
conversation with people too sometimes because yeah, I don't see myself as a celebrity and I'm not, but occasionally
Exactly.
somebody has the misconception that I am and they see me in that light and it's incredibly flattering and it's a
hmm
wonderful feeling when that happens. But I do find
Yeah.
myself occasionally having to remind people like, that doesn't happen as often as you might think it happens.
Yeah, but my mom also taught me to, even though I don't see myself as a celebrity,
Don't ruin
that
it
I
for
should
them,
still
right?
carry myself as somebody who, people look up to and admire in that sense. So you just got to be safe wherever you go to.
Yeah, no, that's the balance that I always feel. Sometimes I do want to tell people like, don't be excited to meet me, but other times it's like, you know what? If they're excited to meet me, let them be excited to meet me. That's great if I can
hmm
give someone that feeling.
Of course, yeah.
So when people ask you what you do for a living, how do you respond to that?
Oh, I hate that question.
You just try to change the subject?
Yeah, so I don't want to tell people I'm a YouTuber or
Uh-huh.
that I do social media because then they start asking, "Oh, you get paid off that?" And I hate going into that conversation. But I tell
Uh-huh.
people, I run an online fitness business
Okay.
usually,
And is that
or that
usually end the conversation? Or do people delve deeper and want to prod and find out more? Do they start asking you
um
how they can lose their love handles once you tell them that?
sometimes they're like, oh, like in what space or that's cool or it's usually ends right there. But if I mention anything about social media, like, oh, I'm a YouTube guy, I make YouTube videos or Instagram, then the conversation is like 10, 15 minutes long.
Do you think it's because they themselves think they want to do it and somehow you'll give them the magic secret? It's like we were saying before, people want the end result, but they're like,
Hmm.
just tell me what I need to do so I can get the thing, but they don't really want to do the thing, right?
Take action. They just want the knowledge. But yeah, I feel like that, and people are just curious as to how that works as a job. Like they don't meet a lot of people who do what I do. Like
It's
you
it's
post
pretty
videos.
unusual. I
Yeah.
remember when I first started doing personal training, I felt that way about personal training. Like this isn't like a job that people are going to take seriously, and it's become a much more established thing, and everybody knows someone who's a personal trainer now. Do you think
Yeah.
it's possible in another 10 or 20 years, being a social media influencer or a YouTube or whatever will be a much more common thing? And oh yeah, everyone will have a friend who that's what they do.
10, 20 years. I honestly think so. Yeah, that the social media like system and age is changing so fast. Within 10 and 20 years, yes, definitely. I feel like every second person's gonna have a million subscribers and is gonna
Right?
be doing it.
Everyone's just going to
Yeah,
be subscribed to everyone else, and everyone will
it's gonna
have a
be
million
huge.
followers.
Yeah, YouTube's already huge. It's gonna be even bigger.
So, do you have any inside inklings on what the next big thing in the fitness industry might be? Any thoughts or predictions,
From a general standpoint, the fitness industry.
or your niche within it? It's an open-ended question, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. I think the niche bodyweight training calisthenics is growing bigger and bigger every year, and that's through the help of people who are promoting it, such as yourself, myself, and other big people in the space. So I feel like that's definitely growing bigger, especially in the United States. Hopefully, I want it to be as popular as like fitness and bodybuilding.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
No,
Um,
I look at yoga as sort of a parallel. Yoga started getting first brought into the U.S. in like the late 70s and the 80s, and it was just this fringe thing for hippies and weirdos. And then little by
hmm
little, it started to become a mainstream thing, and now everybody does yoga or has a yoga studio up the block for them, or their mom does yoga, or their grandma does yoga. And I think
These
calisthenics
gyms.
could just keep growing and keep getting more and more mainstream until, like yoga, it's just something that everybody's familiar with.
You just do it, yeah. Like even in these franchise gyms, they have yoga classes scheduled and all that stuff, but I don't see a lot of like bodyweight training classes. But
I've
who
noticed
knows?
little by little. I mean, the big box gym is still the default mainstream fitness. The go in and do one machine for your biceps and one machine for your triceps and run on the treadmill while you're looking at a TV or reading a magazine and then go to the
Hmm.
smoothie bar. But there's more and more gyms popping up, and I think CrossFit is partially responsible for this. That have more calisthenics equipment, have more pull-up bars, have more just open space to do body weight training, and I think that that's
Yeah.
a trend that is going to continue to happen and grow. And
Yeah, I've
it's a
definitely have
step in
seen
the
that
right
too.
direction.
I love gyms that have that space where you with the pull-up bars and all that stuff, and I feel like it is because of CrossFit mostly, but that's still progress.
Yeah, absolutely. CrossFit, it gets a bad rap from some people, and obviously there's pros and cons to everything, and there's some problems with it. But I think it's been such a great thing for the fitness industry just to expose more people to calisthenics and expose more
Hmm.
people just to fitness in general. I always say there's so much like inner fighting in the world of fitness. Like, oh, that guy's a weights guy, or oh no, he's a calisthenics guy, or he's a yoga guy, and he's a this guy or girl or whatever. It's like we all have
hmm
so much more in common than we have apart. We're all trying to make ourselves healthier and stronger and fitter. And the common enemy is obesity and unhealthy lifestyles. So I think it's so silly when I see people getting into these debates about, oh, is it
Which is
okay to
better?
do weights if I'm a calisthenics guy? Can I do squats with a barbell? Is that okay? It's like, yeah, do whatever you want. I don't care. Work out.
Exactly, exactly. Like especially with the calisthenics niche, there tends to be what's the word, like a cult, almost a cult
Sure.
following for people. And even of myself, if I post a video of me using holding a dumbbell, people freak out, honestly.
Uh,
So yeah, you got to be open minded, and hopefully the calisthenics people listening to this just learn to be more open minded when it comes to fitness protocols and stuff like that.
I've often said about myself that it's hard for me to say if I chose calisthenics or if calisthenics chose me. And what I mean by that is when I started posting content online, I started I was doing calisthenics, but I was doing other stuff too. I did some posts about calisthenics, some posts about using a kettlebell, a post about doing a squat with a barbell. And the calisthenics one seemed to get the most views and the most comments and the most likes. And I was also following my interest. I was getting more interested in delving deeper into that. But because I was getting a
Hmm.
response from it, it encouraged me to go deeper into it. And I got to a
Yeah.
point where it's like, this is what people know me for. It's a waste of my time to do anything that isn't this because I just want to get really good at this because this is what people are coming to me about.
Dive headfirst into it. That reminds me of a book called One Thing. Just focus on your one thing and what people know you for, and get really good at it. And then over time, you can start adding in the little things later if you want.
Well said. I mean, even in calisthenics, there's so many different things you could get into, right? Some people are just handstand
Hmm.
experts. Some guys are like bar athletes. Some people are more doing parkour or whatever other offshoots of different body weight styles there are.
Of course, yeah. There's so many sectors to bodyweight training. It's crazy.
It's pretty cool, though. I mean, people always say to me, like, don't you have to add weights at a certain point because you max out on everything you could do with your body weight? And it's like, oh boy, there's so much you can learn. Because they think it's
Hmm.
just pull ups and push ups and burpees, but it's like, man, if you want to really get into calisthenics, you could be a beginner forever at this stuff.
Exactly. Progressive variation over time.
Well, you get it, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Is there anything that you want to let our listeners know about before we sign off?
Um, hmm.
Just where they could find you online, maybe?
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you can find me everywhere at Austin Dunham, Dunham. Just search that anywhere and you'll be sure to find me.
Excellent. So yeah, I mean, if you've got any other things that you want to plug, this is a chance to do that too.
Yeah, so I have a online website, workoutad.com, where I have workout programs and different stuff to help you towards your calisthenics fitness goals. And yeah, I have multiple YouTube channels too, where I just like to post stuff, and that's pretty much it. Pretty simple guy. Check me out, and hopefully you're doing well in your journey wherever you're at too. And thanks, Al, for having me on the podcast. Very excited.
Oh, thanks for being here, Austin. It was an absolute pleasure.